Oh, come on. Howdy, howdy.
Hi.
What is up? I'm in the wrong screen. Just 1 second. There you go. We're going to bring Matt in here as well. He was eating a hot dog a minute ago. He just caught the beginning of the live. So welcome, welcome. What are you up to, Kristen?
Working.
Working. I love it. I love it. Matt didn't know he was going to be on here, but I'm bringing him in anyways. So Matt, make sure you edit out the first 20 seconds of the live where you literally were like eating a hot dog and didn't know you were on the screen. So
that's my favorite part.
It's the best part. Oh man. Well, I just want to bring another. Man, I'm out of my voice 8 hours later. So Kristen's going to talk most of this time. But with that being said, we want to introduce Kristen. Obviously, we've already talked to Matt today. Kristen does all of our admin training for the US-based employers of our virtual assistants. She basically is here around the clock, 40 hours a week to serve our US-based clients. One of the only things that we saw that most virtual assistant companies did not have is they did not have US-based admin training virtual assistants alongside of virtual assistants training virtual assistants. So one thing we vowed to do when we got started was going to basically be able to bring on somebody in the United States with real life on the ground experience as an agent, as a transaction coordinator, admin, all of the above. And so that is what Kristen has brought us. And I'm going to turn it over to Kristen for her to kind of share a little bit more about her background and ultimately what she does in Sphere Rocket. And I'm just going to let her explain what her job is, what her week looks like, and the value that she brings not only us, but also our virtual assistant. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to you, Kristen.
So my name is Kristen. I actually am new with Sphere Rocket. I joined around November, December, right before or after Thanksgiving. So I'm fairly new to the company, and I'm thankful and happy to be here. I have a background in real estate as a realtor on the East Coast in Maryland for about 5.5 years. And then I moved to Texas about 2 years ago, and I started doing transactions with a luxury real estate company in Corpus. So I'm in Texas now. I love what I do here at Sphere Rocket. I am basically a tool for employers and VAs to use at their discretion for training virtual assistants on how to do transactions, how to stay organized, how to stay on top of things. A lot of times employers get VAs and they don't have any real estate experience, or they don't have any intention of having them handle anything in the real estate world. And then they decide later on, hey, I want my virtual assistant to start handling transactions and start doing cold calls and things like that. And their VA has no experience. And that's kind of whenever I would have you guys turn to me for just a little bit of guidance on the basic rundown of the real estate world, how I keep track of things, my spreadsheets, checklists, and honestly, Justin has provided so many different tools at your disposal inside of Kajabi that I was really impressed when I joined. I didn't have any of that stuff when I started, so it's been a really nice, just a really nice tool for y'all to use. So that's pretty much what I'm for. I do hope my long-term goal is to bring more value to you guys as far as working in the KW commands specifically, just being more value to the company. I do the best that I can at training. It's not really my specialty, but I try to do the best I can at helping you guys, and I hope to do better. long term.
No, I love it. So for you guys that are listening in, Kristen really takes over for once you hire a virtual assistant. Kristen is throughout the process. So Shireen talked a lot about in one of our previous videos of what the process looks like. And one of the steps in the process that Shireen did not talk about is before you ever even hire your VA, you're actually going to set a pre-onboarding meeting with Kristen where she's going to walk through and learn a little bit more about what you are needing your virtual assistant to do in the long run. As somebody, even though Kristen's only been with us for about 2 to 3 months now, she's already seen over 150 VAs be placed within that time. And so she's already got a good grasp on what are you needing for your VAs. And since she has so many years of experience, not only as an agent, but as an admin, 99% of what people are requesting from us, Kristen can either make from scratch if we don't have it, and or also provide you what we already have behind the scenes to kind of cut out that learning curve. So for many of you guys, if you're looking at Sphere Rocket, different things like that, each and every week we have about 8 to 10 live classes that are taught by myself, taught by Kristen, taught by Matt. I'm more on the master class side. So I teach a few master classes where we basically cover a new subject, a new best practice. So it's kind of like this, but way more detailed, sharing screens, different things like that. Matt will usually do something on the LinkedIn, Facebook ad side, social media, and then Kristen does all the Q&As. So we have like, I think Kristen right now, you do 6 to 8 Q&As a week, like 3 with the employer. So those are employer only calls, and then 3 or 4 with the virtual assistants as well, which are calls for your VAs to be able to come together in a learning type environment and really have no limit on the questions that they can ask Kristen. So Kristen, what are you like, talk a little bit more about like, what are you seeing and like, what are the best practices that people can start to do now to prepare to get a virtual assistant? We already heard from Alden of what his opinion was that people can do to start preparing for a VA. But what is your opinion as someone that's been an agent, been in the shoes of these people that are hiring VAs for the first time?
So honestly, coming into this and never having a virtual assistant before when I was an agent on the East Coast, I think VAs are very undervalued. Did I say that correctly? Because you can use them for all kinds of things that you should be out there in the community promoting yourself, marketing yourself. And that's something I've really realized being on the other end of it, the back end of things, as opposed to being an agent on the outside, is that you can really utilize your VA in every single way. So all those tasks, I like to meet with employers before they get their VA. I try to, if I can. If not, it's a week into when they get their VA. But I really get excited if I get with them before they get their VA, because I like to just, in the back of their minds, get them to have a few things ready to go. Because like Shireen said, you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage if you have your VA and you have no tasks for them, you have no SOP built, you don't really have any organization, and then you haven't done your training in Kajabi. You kind of put yourself just at a disadvantage. So I like to just recommend to employers, like Shireen said, have that task list ready to go. Have it in Asana, have it in your project management system ready to go. That's going to really help you a lot. Also, if you build out like your SOP, Justin's provided a ton of tools in Kajabi. Do your training before you get your VA, guys. I can't stress that enough. I've met with a few employers that, don't have any idea where to begin, and they've had their VA for 2 weeks, and they're looking at us like, well, we have you guys. What are we going to do for you now? And just do your training. That's going to really benefit you in the long run. That onboarding course is awesome. But I really find that when employers do get their VAs, if they have their task list built, their SOP, their operating procedures are ready to go, their VAs are rocking and rolling, and they are killing it. And they have, they're organized, everything's according to their plan, and they're happy campers. But I really feel like if people would take the time, and it is a little bit of work, but again, you expect your VA to take the initiative. I think as employers should also take the initiative before they get their VA and just have it all laid out for them, because the way I tell employers to look at it is if you do that pre-planning phase before you get your VA, then you're going to be set up for the rest of your business. I mean, no matter how many VAs you have, you're going to have that one step SOP every single time. So you're never going to have to do it again unless, you incorporate other things in your business. But yeah.
No, I love that. Now, tell me a little bit about your schedule. So like, whenever someone signs up for a VA, the number one thing we hear is, Justin, you have hundreds and hundreds of people using your VAs. Like, am I ever going to get time on Kristen's calendar? Justin, if I need help, are you actually ever going to speak to me? Like, talk to me about like how many meetings are you having a week? How open is your calendar? And like, is scheduling time with you ever a problem during the week? Or what's kind of the ratio of how many people are utilizing that help?
So I wish people would, like you say, abuse me a little bit more.
I don't say that. Okay, maybe I do.
I mean,
that is a statement.
To reach out to me more. I feel like a lot of VAs, even specifically some employers, they're too busy they say they're too busy to train their employer or their VA. Oh yeah, I'm happy to meet with you.
We have no clue who that is. You got to comment your name. Your profile permissions are not showing. So whoever you are, type your name in and we'll get you on the calendar with Kristen. Even if you guys don't know Kristen or you're not a part of our program and you want to meet with Kristen, as her title says, Teams Lead Badass, she's more than happy to set meetings with you just to chat more about what VAs can do for you. But if you're a member of ours, we'll make sure to get you. So comment your name if that was you that put that comment up there for us.
Yes, please. My calendar is very flexible, and I always tell people, if you're having a hard time getting on, send me an email, send me a message on Facebook. I'm very responsive immediately almost, and I'm happy to put you on there myself if you're having issues. But I usually meet with employers Tuesday through Fridays between 2 and 5. Again, I have flexibility with that. So if none of those times fit your schedule, send me a message or an email and I'm happy to make something work for you. Typically Mondays, I just like to keep open for, Justin, Matt, if they have anything for me, or Shireen. But VAs, I meet with again Tuesday through Fridays. And typically I have them open between 11 and 2. That way I have the evenings for employers. But I do the Q&A calls with employers at 12 o'clock on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then the VAs, I do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday calls at 1 p.m. Central.
I love that.
So I'm happy to meet with them, but usually my calendar is pretty flexible, I would say. Now, I have had a few people mention that my calendar stays pretty full. Again, shoot me a message and I can figure it out for you.
Yeah. No, I love that. So talk to me, like, what are you guys usually discussing on those VA calls? Because a lot of people ask, like, what are you covering in those calls? And sometimes there's a lot of questions. Sometimes there's a lot of things you bring. So like, what does a typical VA call look like when you're dealing with hundreds of people's VAs? Now, just in full transparency to everybody, your VAs are not mandated to come to these calls. It's kind of a come to the call as you need us. Our service is set up so differently than any other VA company, because most VA companies, they give you the VA, they're like, best of luck, let us know if you ever need anything, where we're like, no, we know you're gonna need things, and know that agents inherently are lazy. I know, because I am one. We won't seek help a lot of times because there's too much friction. So we've set up 6 to 8 live calls to where we can never say, hey, I had this problem, and we should never hear that, because you can jump on so many different calls. So Kristen, what do those calls look like with you and the VAs? Like, what are the most common questions? What are you showing them? What do you usually see in that realm?
I started on Tuesdays. I actually started making that a topic-based call. So I have a list of topics every single Tuesday that I kind of have a specific thing I discuss. Now, I still leave the floor open for them if they have any questions. But our Q&A calls can go all over the place. So from inputting an MLS listing to what is an appraisal to different systems. We always talk about different systems. Or recently, I've actually got into learning more about commercial real estate. We've had a few more commercial agents, so that's something new I'm learning. Shout out Lauren Coon. It can go all over the place, but a lot of the just typical questions are the differentiate between buyers and sellers, typical listing transaction, how to put a listing into the MLS. We go over Canva and marketing, how to do a Facebook blast, just simple, basic real estate knowledge. But it really does help your VA out a lot if they hop on those calls. So I really try to encourage them in that.
No, definitely love that. What would you say is the number one question that employers need help with? Because a lot of people don't realize that whenever they sign up for a Sphere Rocket VA, they're not only getting the VA, all the coaching calls each week, access to you, access to Matt. They also get access to all of our other coaching programs, which are Facebook ads, LinkedIn programs. I know that you spent about an entire month building out a transaction coordination program. So if you guys ever have concerns on how would I implement a VA for that, Kristen's built out an entire, it's bigger than I haven't even looked at it all yet. It's so big. And so talk to me about what are you typically seeing people needing the most help with their virtual assistants?
Honestly, I think the most managing their VA. Mm-hmm. I think kind of figuring out if what they're giving their VA is going to overwhelm them. Or I try to really focus on your 30, 60, 90-day plan. That's been a huge help, which I had no idea that would be so helpful back when I was an agent. But that's kind of what I direct them towards, because a lot of employers, I feel like, especially if they've never had a VA, struggle with, am I giving them too much work? Is knowing how to do a whole transaction doable in 30 days? What's too much? That kind of thing is really I think it's become a big thing that I've realized that employers struggle with the most.
No, I love that. Now, next question I have for you is, what has been your biggest learning thing that you've learned over the last, let's say, 3 months of just VAs in general? Because you came in you've been an agent, you've been an admin, you were an admin, you did never need a VA for the most part. So what's been the biggest thing that you've learned about VAs, in terms of just anything? What's something that you think some listeners may be listening in going, question-wise, that you've been either proved wrong or you had misconceptions about, or, just things that you didn't even know existed now that you've kind of been in this ecosystem of virtual work?
I never would have thought having a VA in the Philippines would work. I'll be honest. I was not. And coming into this, I was like, this is awesome because they can do everything. But I think my biggest thing would be just really knowing that everyone's different. And I think I really like what Shireen says when she does her onboarding is it's better to have, it's better. A lot of times it's good to have someone with no experience in the real estate world specifically and training them on the real estate world.
Yeah.
I have found the few VAs that I have really tried to coach and I meet with weekly have made huge leaps and bounds as opposed to someone that has 5 years of transaction experience, been in the real estate world. I've seen more progression with those that have no real estate experience than those that have had. And that I never would have realized that either. So those are just two big things. But when you get a VA, you're going to have different personalities. If you have 2 different VAs, everyone's different. Mm-hmm. But I was really impressed. So when Shireen was telling employers, it's good to have someone with no experience. And in my head, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, it's just a huge light bulb because she's right. It's a lot easier for me to train them and they get it quickly. I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Cassidy, can you send me the VA info on weekly calls or send me, and I can send to her? Absolutely. We can definitely make sure to get that to you. So for the VAs, it's Monday in my Zoom room that you guys all have the link to at the same time. And then Tuesdays for your VA, it's 1 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for your VAs. And Cassidy, you can just make sure to tell your VA that all the information is in their Facebook group chat or in their private Facebook group or also in your VA's training portal. Just so you know, and people are listening, we don't force your VAs to attend these because they're not our VAs. We have turned them over to you. So that's why sometimes people can be like, oh, what are these calls? Because the VAs are obviously a lot of times in your first few weeks spending a lot of time integrating onto your staff, and they're not asking, hey, can I go take an hour off of our super busy day? to go do these calls. And, we also say that OJT, which stands for on the job training, isn't something that you should do forever, right? Like there's a point where your VA is coming on to a call each and every day for an hour, loses its effectiveness because now they're hearing a lot of the same questions. And, we really want those times to be served as when they have a question. I mean, we just had someone that's had a VA for a year join Tuesday's Q&A call and ask questions, which was awesome because they use that time to get, in one-on-one with me or Kristen. We've talked a lot today about, dollar per hour, right? When we looked at, and I was starting to look at what is my dollar per hour rate, my dollar per hour rate now is over $500 an hour. And so when someone started to ask, Justin, can I meet with you one-on-one? Just like you see in other big VA companies, the CEO starts to get further and further and further away from the actual customer. And that's something that we vowed to never do. And the way that we protected that was putting in these Q&A calls that I've built into my schedule to be able to spend that time live with you. Because again, while I truly believe in VA companies allowing the CEO to leverage out of things, I believe that this company was started based on many of the principles that I implemented in my daily business. And we definitely don't want to lose that touch between me and the VAs, because here's the thing. The VAs are built on a lot of reputation of our company in the Philippines. Without sounding like an ego stroke, people in the Philippines do come and work for Sphere Rocket and with Sphere Rocket because of the culture that not only I've created, but Shireen's created. And so we want to make sure that that culture doesn't break either by removing us too far away. So we definitely recommend, if you're on the employer side, to attend any of the calls that I'm hosting during the week with Kristen. And then, of course, sending your VAs as well, because when you think about a virtual assistant, one of the main things that is happening is they are working virtually, right? Just like you're working virtually. If they're working on your team and you don't put them into an environment for growth, you don't introduce them to other, VAs, they're going to kind of feel like they're working on an island. No pun intended. A lot of VAs literally work on an island. And so we want the VAs to feel like they have a family. We want them to feel comfortable reaching out to the 400 other VAs we placed last year, because there's nothing that will help your VA grow faster than when you're busy or you give them a project and they get stuck and they're reaching out to you, and maybe you're in a listing appointment or things like that. Like we see every single day, hundreds of VAs reaching out across the network to try and get some help. And actually, Deanna, who was one of our third or fourth call today, her VA Lucky is actually probably what I would consider the biggest help in the group of he's got an answer for everything. And so it's really cool to see these top level VAs helping all the other VAs within the organization. So Cassidy just wanted to add it to her calendar. Absolutely. 1 p.m. Central. Add that to her calendar, and just make it optional for whenever you need it. So yeah. What else, Matt? What else you got, man? You mistyped best boss ever earlier, so I appreciate you changing that.
I like my name.
No, nothing. I think Kristen kind of hit everything, and obviously she's been a huge value add. As soon as she joined the team, like just having somebody that the VAs and the employers can go to who's had experience in the real estate realm, who can kind of guide them through like some of the SOP things that we've set up. Yeah. Obviously that's a massive value add to all of our clients and to all the VAs themselves as well. So it's pretty great.
Absolutely. I love it, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys both jumping on. We got a few more people jumping on our live stream this afternoon between Kale. Kale is probably the only member of Sphere Rocket that has never been publicized. No photos of Kale, no anything yet. Kale is the face of our front end organization on the sales side. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to our next user. Someone typed Kristen Clark, heart. No clue who you are, but very nice of you. Why did you say Justin, heart? That's what I want to know.
Best boss ever.
It never happens. I have never seen a Justin, heart. So whoever said that, very disappointed in you, but I would agree. that all of the team deserves that. So, well, thank you. Oh, someone said, go Kale Jacob. Awesome. Shout out for Kale and Kristen, not us, Matt. We're just top livers.
We'll be a Justin shout out soon. Wait for it.
Actually, I'm going to write myself a shout out. No one will know.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, perfect. Someone's got our back. So, well, awesome, guys. We're going to jump on to our next interview. I appreciate you guys jumping on, and keep rocking what you're rocking.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, see you guys. Ah, she's here.
Hello.
Oh, you got here such on time. I was going to take a break, but
you can if you need to. You can, but I'm
going for it. We're going for it.
Oh, okay. I'm FOP. I'm fresh off the plane.
What? Like 5 minutes ago? 10 minutes ago?
I got here about 45 minutes ago. So
where did you go vacation without us?
So I went to Florida, which I would not suggest right now because it is freezing. It was warmer in Dallas than it was in Florida. So my trip was a flop, but it's okay.
Right. That's all right. That's I bet you it was still good to get out and feel not so trapped in.
That's right. It was. It was good to feel the sand beneath my toes, even if it was freezing.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm just going to turn it straight over to you to start in terms of just introducing yourself. I obviously know all about you. I'm actually looking at our watch list. I know a lot of people already know about you, but I would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself. What are you up to? I know you're in the Dallas market doing all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
You sell a ton of homes by yourself is kind of what I say in your situation. So I'm excited to pick your brain because you have a lot of leverage. You have a lot of leverage, but not a lot of your amount of leverage to the quality of your leverage and the way you really systematize things, really impressive. So I'm super excited to let people pick your brain, or I guess me pick your brain mostly, about what you got going on.
Yeah, of course. So I am Brittany Stewart. I do service the North Dallas, Texas area. I've been in real estate for 16 years, and I always joke and say I started when I was 21, which I really did. So you can figure out how old I am. My birthday was yesterday, so
happy birthday.
Give me a little bit of leeway there in terms of age. But no, I've been a realtor my whole adult life. I love real estate. It's my passion. And we have a very small team, like you said, that yes, is heavily leveraged. I'm learning a lot, even though I've been in the business for a very long time and had systems and things of that nature. I have loved every minute of Sphere Rocket because Justin has taught me things, and that's kind of hard to do every once in a while. So what else? I'm a licensed broker here. I had a small brokerage in Florida before I moved here. I joined Keller Williams. They had the market share. I was a team leader also for my market center for a short bout. Big shout out and prayer to all the team leaders. I don't know how you do it. That's basically it. I live the good life here in Dallas. I love it. We love it. I have 2 children, a 7 and a 9-year-old. So our lives are incredibly full.
I love it. I love it. So tell me a little bit about your journey to leverage. You know, with being in the business for so long, you've seen a lot. It really sounds like from the time you got started, teams were maybe non-existent, or you had a very, very small. I mean, Diana Kokoska might have had a team, the rare anomaly at the time. Some people like that we hear of that started the teams. But what have you seen the evolution of, the teams? Well, what path did you follow, and when did you first kind of fall into leverage? Because you obviously had no shortage of teaching around leverage from your different positions and different things like that. But when was it that you actually were like, you know what, I'm going to move from a solo agent to some leverage of some degree?
Yeah, I think that it was really surprising to me because even though I started real estate at such a young age, I was with a very traditional brokerage in Florida. So there were not systems and models and tools like that. I really did not start to understand leverage until I joined Keller Williams when I moved to Texas. So that was my first piece. And then I moved here, and I had always done pretty decent, but the market that I serviced in Florida was Jacksonville, Florida. So it was very different than Dallas. Dallas is incredibly fast moving. You have lots of sales, lots of people moving here. So I did well. I was always, top agent, but it's kind of a laugh now compared to that. So I moved here. I knew 2 people, and I just started going insane, selling more than I did by myself in Florida. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. How am I going to figure this out? So of course I read the MREA, and I realized I easily had just spent like the last 9 years of real estate wasting so much time and energy. I was so upset with myself, but you know what you know, and when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to harp on that. So I would say, I started off with a TC, much like a lot of agents do, like the MREA kind of suggests. I started off with a transaction coordinator, and then I needed something different. So then I had a part-time assistant, and then I moved to a full-time assistant. But I've got to be completely honest. It has been difficult, I think, for me personally. I'm a high D personality, DI. For me to find people here that will work the way that they could keep up with my high D personality. So I contemplated it. And then after, a few turnovers in admin because of Corona, kids, personality, lack of hard work, whatever it is. Yeah, high D scarcity. That is true. It's been amazing having a VA. I another regret. I wish that I would have took the plunge. I think there's such a stigmata, behind not supporting American workers, or a VA can't do what an assistant can do, all of these different things. And there's such myths. Yeah. So Justin knows, because I've referred a bazillion people already to him. It's just been amazing. And I think that it finally really, really clicked. Justin, honestly, the systems I had built out, but I was not using Asana. I was using kind of archaic systems of lists and things like that. So I never converted over to the modern side of leveraging until I joined Sphere Rocket. That's the truth.
No, I love that. And you obviously have more than one virtual assistant, which is really cool. So that you're getting to see different, styles and culture and just different ability of virtual assistants to do different things. So talk to me a little bit about, like, how long have you had your initial VA for prior to using Sphere Rocket?
So I've had my first VA with a competitor company for about a year.
Awesome.
Yep.
So really what I've really found cool about you is you've been able to take different aspects of things you were already implementing and then improve on it to have another VA, and they still work together. And the reason why I wanted to share that is a lot of people in here, they already have admins that are in person, right? Or they already have VAs, like Kevin and Fred were on here this morning. Mm-hmm. Another group of people, and they have VAs already before they came to us as well. And I just share that so let people know, like, you don't have to come to us with a fresh, clean slate. Like, we customize it to what you're already doing. And so as far as like the VAs go, like, what are some things that you would say you've learned, not even from us, but just maybe the process we put you through that made you new ahas, even if we didn't say them, that you found in the process of getting a second VA? Because we have a totally different model than most competitors, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter who the competitor is. Like, we have a completely different model than all competitors. So, like, what are some new things that you've learned that people listening that might already have an admin, might already have a VA, might go, I need to explore, maybe learning more than just what this company gave me, should I say?
Right. I would say, of course, I've checked out every virtual assistant company. I love the philosophy that you have with the direct pay and everything that you have in place. So let me just honestly, genuinely start off by saying that. But I think that you need to kind of map out what your org chart is going to look like, because the way that my mind works is I wanted to hire somebody that would replace my in-person stateside executive assistant, and that's what I did with Sphere Rocket. So that person, the other VA that I had, was doing some things, but not to the level that they would. So, my executive assistant with Sphere Rocket is amazing. Her name is Carmina, so you'll hear me refer to her. She is also high D, which I love, because she whips us all into shape. She really and truthfully does, from the Philippines and beyond. But it's more so, it's helped me be a better leader by having multiple VAs. And it's also helped me to have both of them to be able to collaborate so that you can bounce things off of. And what I mean by that is, what logistically can I do to make your job easier? Is this a good expectation? Is your plate too full today as an executive assistant? What can you shuffle over, to another VA's task for the day? And we really do. I use Brivity, I use Conversion, I have all these systems, but I really have learned to use Asana. And one of the things we do is, I'm a big brain dumper. So I typically brain dump in my task list with Google Drive, but I've just learned that no, I need to brain dump in Asana. So I just have my VAs essentially downloading those tasks and then giving each other permission that if they need assistance with something, to use that Asana task list. We have a to-do list, we have a daily list, a weekly list, a monthly list, reoccurring. So I think that learning how to tell people what to do, especially most entrepreneurs are my personality, high DI, and we just move like this, and stopping and really getting what's in our mind out and regurgitating that so that somebody else can take the ball and run with it. And having multiple VAs, whether they're with the same, same platform or not, they just have to learn to communicate with each other so that they can help each other. And that's been amazing, because you know why? It pushes me even harder, because it's not just one assistant who's like, hey, they're watching Netflix, so I haven't given them. I have multiple people that are depending on me to give them work to do.
Yeah.
So, keeping them. And then if you teach your main hub, which is what I have, my executive assistant, and give them permission to leverage to your other VAs, that's where the gold comes into. Because if you're too busy, you're on appointments, to be able to have them, task them with things to do, then now they know that's part of their job description as well.
Absolutely. No, I love that. So what would you say, when you very first got your first VA, ever, what were some of the tasks that you gave them and you felt were a big success for you to get off your plate? Because I know there's so many tasks that sometimes we see agents just they get a VA, they're overwhelmed, they just start throwing tasks at them, and they're not tasks that really a VA should be doing, or maybe just busy work. What have you found the most effective task for you in your business? I know there's a lot of them, but what would you say are the big needle movers for you that you've got on your plate?
I always say imperfect action beats perfect inaction all the time. So I want them to be doing something that I could not do. So it's the extras. I'm the face, I'm the doctor.
Yep.
They're the office manager and the nurse. So what things can I, the doctor, preserve my time for, but still have a great practice? So the first VA that I hired strictly did social media. I think that that's an easy one. And I just did very basic things. I used Canva. I have brands, so I have specific fonts and colors that I like to utilize. And I made it easy of building those templates in Canva. And it could be just something very easy, just listed, just sold, coming soon, under contract, congratulatory, post, just those things that are time consuming for agents, but they're easy for a VA to be able to follow a format. So I would say those things. And then something I've wanted to do for a really long time is build Facebook community pages. Every YouTube video, every person, friends that I have that run community pages, it sounds really easy. It is incredibly time consuming.
Yeah.
So those are things that I would say that I've started, having my first VA do. The next thing, my executive assistant's big rocks are transaction coordination and email monitoring. I am very thankful that I thought about it a little bit and set my systems up probably different than a lot of other teams. I have one central email that I work out of, and we use a lot of tags. We do have a big email capacity, as Justin has gotten on to me for, but I think that that's great because I've formulated templates for a lot of things in Gmails, welcome emails, congratulations, you're under contract, important dates, send us a review. I've just really tried to systematize all of those things so that it's easy for a VA to be able to come in there and plop in just like they're me. They're basically filling in those blanks. So I would say social media with the first VA. The second one has been, transaction coordination and email monitoring have been the biggest time cuts and savers for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so for you, with virtual assistants, why did you go, and I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but as you continue to grow, obviously in-person admin do exist, that relate high with high Ds. Like I got 2 on my team. They probably want to kill me most of the time, but I find a way to retain them. Like for you and your future growth, like what are your plans? Are you looking for in-person admin? Do you think the VAs can do everything you ever need them to do? Or like, well, what is your long-term plan with that?
Yeah, so I personally, I don't know, it could change, but I don't think that I will have another in-person executive assistant for quite some time. I just don't. I don't see the need for it. And I feel like my values just align better with the VAs right now. They just really and truthfully do. And I think it's because I am high D. When I have somebody who's in person and you can see them slacking off and not having that work ethic and calling off for every insane reason. And then I have a VA who's had, flooding and doesn't have electricity and they're in the basement of a hotel making sure that they work. It just, not to say that that's the dream, but I just really relate and appreciate the work ethic that the VAs have given. My steps are leveraging things here stateside that they cannot. So for instance, showing assistants, runners, those types of things. But honestly, I don't think that I'm going to back end support. I think that I'd probably rather have 10 VAs than continue to hire people in person. So when you can afford it that way.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that one thing you told me a few weeks ago on one of our coaching calls is the way our model is set up is you can actually supercharge, like you're paying in many cases, our company half of what most VA companies charge you. And so now you're able to get 2, 3, 4, 5 VAs over time for the same cost.
Exactly.
It's a little bit easier.
Yep. And I think too, I see a lot of people in the Facebook group and they ask things, ask about paying and bonusing and things of that nature. I've also come up with a really strategic way that the team can know when I grow, you grow. So one of the things that I've done is to add those bonus structures after 90 days.
Yep.
We have to be here for 90 days, but it really, the excitement and the culture of feeling like a team and that I really care. They see how much money we're making. But just being able to say, hey, as we do this, and it's very minimum. So if you want me to, I'll tell you kind of what I'm bonusing on. Yeah, so some of the things that I've started bonusing on are transactions. So for my executive assistant who has had she actually was a transaction coordinator for 9 years, not in my state, but she's learning. And one of my VAs has gone through almost Kristen's whole training system, by the way, and they were so impressed. But anyway, so I would say, so I bonus on transaction, and it's just $25 per transaction, and then it'll be, I'll stack them up from there as I need to. But it really gives them a sense of ownership. Mm-hmm. I've done social media growth. I've done reviews, for receiving reviews. I've done, this is going to throw you a curveball. I don't know if I've told you this though, Justin. Another thing that I have our VAs work on is I own multiple Airbnbs. Mm. So now I've been having I've systematized and had them managing the Airbnbs. So managing, stays at the Airbnb, just very small, minor bonuses. So that's been really cool to see their excitement and to see, I feel like it really, when I announced it, I feel like they kind of pivoted in terms of making sure that they had 100% ownership because that bonus was on the line.
Yeah, no, I love that. And to throw you a curveball back, that is actually one of my very first experiences with VAs. Is my business partner actually had a VA that we used for Airbnbs as well that we were running. So,
oh, how cool.
It's as you well know, there's nothing better than the pain in the ass clients going, the door doesn't work, or the toilet's broken, or the combo, I didn't read it. And, it's the best thing ever because VAs, and I think a lot of people don't realize too, is like what's cool about Airbnbs is in different businesses is we all want VAs in the real estate industry to work, our 8 to 5, our 9 to 6. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is you can actually get for even cheaper a VA that works on our nighttime when Airbnbs are checking in, checking out. And so it's on their daytime, our nighttime. So we can actually use VAs if you have a big enough rental business or Airbnb business that you can actually, in the reverse, use a VA on their daytime or nighttime to manage the nighttime, should I say. Also, a lot of people, glad you brought that up, use VAs in the opposite of like after hour call recordings. Like if you run a property management group, hire a VA in the middle of their day to cover that 5 to 10 p.m. emergency or 5 to 2 a.m. emergency. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you.
Yep. It's been great for me. While I was on the plane, I had one of the guests who complained that she all of a sudden couldn't get the washer to turn on. By the time I landed, it had already had a support ticket. It had already been responded back. We utilize Google Voice for everything, which is another huge bonus. I see that question asked a lot. Google Voice is the way to go because then everybody who has access to your email has access to your Google Voice. So, but I love seeing all those correspondence, and it looks like it's me. It's great.
Yeah, I love that. No, they're none the wiser on who is actually responding. I love that. I love that. So as far as like, VAs and different things like that, like what would you say has been your biggest failure with the VA over time? And I know we talked a little bit about some of the differences of, archaic systems and really getting into that. But what would you say is like the biggest pivot point that has made a difference in the last 6 months to a year of having VAs for you?
Yeah. I think definitely, the bonus structure is one thing. And I also think just making sure every night before I go to bed, I go in a sauna and I just brain dump anything that didn't get taken care of, anything like that. And I think one of the ways that we fail, there's one particular person, I won't throw them under the bus on live, but there's one particular person that has a VA that I have to tell them, like, listen, you've got to slow down to speed up. You have to stop. You have to invest. You have to put it in your calendar that you have to invest back in your business. Yeah. If you want someone to take 10 hours a week off of your plate, you have to invest an hour back. Like it's just common sense. So I think going in every night before I go to bed, before I shut off my brain, I go in there and I brain dump. So I go back and see what was done, what task, what do I still need them to do? So making sure that you fill their time. Listen, these VAs, they want to work. They do not want to be bored. They don't. They want a system. They want to work. And I think just making sure that you share with them how appreciative you are, tell them when they're doing a good job, and also making sure that you as a business owner check yourself. When something happens, you're like, okay, wait a minute, was this me? Did I not teach them how to do this properly? Could I have set up a system around this? Or my instructions not clear? And having that understanding. Another thing that I do a lot is I will do Loom recaps at night. So say, for instance, I got tagged in an email and it wasn't responded right. Okay, well, now I'm going to go through, add that to the team library of how I really want this, how I wanted this to be handled. Now, I don't necessarily go handle it. I send them the Loom link, and then in the morning, they're going to handle it the way that I said. And we kind of have a system where I know a lot of people are hesitant for people to respond back on their time. If they're fluent in English, which a lot of them really have phenomenal reading and writing skills and speaking skills. It's just I tell them, put it in a draft and I'll review it. And if there's any slight changes I want to make, I'll do it. And then you go back and read it once I've sent it.
Yeah.
So I think that just making sure that you have that set expectation, you're telling them what you need from them.
No, I love that. I love that. So, well, Brittany, I just want to say I appreciate you jumping on with us today. I know you're just getting back from the airport, so I really respect you taking time out of your Friday to jump on with us.
Of course, absolutely.
Well, if there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it. You as a Spear Rocket member, you are in our top 10 referrer list of people that are referring us business. So means a lot to us, and I really appreciate you doing that.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate your brilliance. You're amazing. I want you to get your IQ tested, would you?
I've never tested it. I don't know if I want to test it. I don't know if that would either severely disappoint me or.
Well, you're definitely above a 70. So.
Hey, I don't know what that means, but I'll take it as a good thing.
Yes, of course. And thank you for all your hard work. It's easy to do when it works. So, I'll scream it from the rooftops because I really think that there's a gem nugget in here that people should utilize to help them learn. So
I appreciate it. Well, awesome. I hope you have a great warmer Friday than you did in Florida, and enjoy your weekend.
Thanks. Sounds good.
Thank you. Bye.
what's up, Justin? Yeah, man, I can't hear you.
I am on mute. There you go. What's up, man?
There we go. Not much. How you doing?
Good. Just saying, we are live in front of our millions of fans. I mean, thousands probably, but close enough. But no, man, I just wanted to go live. We've been doing the mastermind all day. If you do not know who Kale is and you guys are watching this live, Kale is our lead sales rep. So, man, I just want to introduce you to the people that haven't had a call with you. Obviously, all the people that have had a call with you know exactly what you do and kind of your role, but I'd love to just kind of pick your brain on a few things like what your job is, what your role is, and ultimately kind of I want to learn a little bit more about like what are people coming to you for. I ultimately get to see the back end of it once they sign up, they start coaching with us. But I would love to kind of learn a little bit more about like what are you seeing people's pain points, like what's getting them on calls with you, should I say, like what's the biggest thing. So let's kind of start off with, man, what's your background? How did we get connected? And what do you ultimately do for Sphere Rocket?
My background, I've pretty much been in sales since I was 12 years old as a door-to-door salesman, selling newspaper subscriptions, high-speed internet, natural gas contracts, kind of you name it.
I love it. I love it, man. And I know we got connected through a mutual friend of ours and program for sales reps and ultimately led you to us. So talk to me a little bit about like, your voice sounds like it's gone like mine is. Sounds like you've been on a few calls this week. But talk to me a little bit like what do you do? Like, obviously you manage our sales calendars. I think this week you had like 40 calls or 25 calls, something like that, off the charts. Like, talk me through like what a typical day in your life looks like. Like, what are you doing on these calls? What are you walking people through? What does the day in the life of a Sphere Rocket sales rep look like?
I mean, end of the day, they're kind of consultation calls, just making sure that, what we do is a good fit for these agents and real estate professionals that hop on the call. As far as pain points, at the end of the day, most of the time it's, they want their time back, or they need a lot of these tasks taken off of their plate. Excuse me, off of their plate so that, they can focus working on their business as opposed to in it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so really, if you guys are listening here, Kale's main job is to be able to deliver what we do at Sphere Rocket in a more clear and concise manner. Because some of you guys have heard of us from a YouTube channel or a 30-second video, or your buddy told you about us, but they didn't tell you all of what we do, or they may have given you misinformation. So if you guys are ever talking to Kale literally has the program down to a T on what we do. Like, even sometimes I make changes to the program. Kale keeps up with that more than I do. So if you guys are ever interested in looking and you're looking to get a VA through us, you will most likely 99% chance be talking with Kale. So Kale, obviously, I think you had a big day today, didn't you? Didn't we have like 4 or 5 people sign up for VAs today?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I love it, man. You're absolutely crushing it. So if you guys ever have a sales call, I just wanted to get you guys on live real fast, introduce you to Kale. The discount code below and everything you guys are seeing, go to sphererocketva.com. That ultimately will lead you guys to Kale. Kale, tell me a little bit about your unique situation, because you live in the Philippines, but you're from Canada. And so like you kind of have a super unique perspective. Like, finding you and the way that you were able to become our sales rep was kind of like, it was very godly, very lucky. Like, it's very rare to have someone that's from our northern hemisphere, and yet you now live in the Philippines. So talk to me a little bit about like how that's been able to help you, connect with people that are looking as an agent, and also understanding our offer and what we do for the agents and the people in the Philippines.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been going back and forth from here in Vancouver for about exactly 7 years now. And yeah, I mean, I've definitely understand the virtual assistant market, from friends that have managed call centers out here and IT companies and all of that. I love it here.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, that's really all I had for you today, man. I just wanted to get you on camera, get you in front of the people that don't ever, we have people that jump on our website, they don't fill out a link and they're hesitant. And so I just wanted to put your face out in front of them and kind of introduce you to them of who they would be talking to learn more about the Sphere Rocket program. So if there's anything, man, last question I have for you is, what is one thing that you would say that people can bring to a call for you? Like if they brought this mindset, these questions, something prepared, like what would you say someone could bring to a call with you if they have no clue about our program that would best help you analyze whether or not we're a fit to help them?